First-person shooters, well, that's a genre that's gone down in history as being one of the biggest moneymakers ever made. And like anything that makes money, it's full of crap. And here are the top 7 ways you can recognize a bad single-player FPS. A show dedicated to helping you understand in just a few minutes if the game you're about to play or have just started playing is actually a steaming pile of bullcrap. And just like last week's show, remember, a game doesn't have to meet just one of these to be bad. There are some games that have 1 or even 2 of these signs and yet are still good. But the more of these they have and the higher on the list they are, the more you can expect it to be really bad. That being said, let's get it started with number 7. The exact same setting and story as every other game. You know what I'm talking about. In general, FPS games, when there's a trend, they will all go after that trend. They will not try to innovate in any way, shape, or form, and they will contribute to making the genre horrible for a while until a new trend pops up, a few good games come out, and then the other crappy ones that are just riding the wave turn up to make everything bad again. Remember when World War II was the only thing you can find in FPS, or when Modern Warfare was the only thing you could find in FPS, or zombie shooters were the only thing you could find in FPS? Well, now we're at the sci-fi future level shooter of the only thing you can find in FPS, and it will continue, probably with World War I, probably with something else. And the stories of these games will generally be the same. The characters are gonna be the same. The plot threads are gonna be the same. Because at their core, they're trying to be the exact same game as the one that sold millions of units. Number 6. QuickTime Events. I don't actually think this is something I have to say, but a QuickTime event in itself isn't actually gameplay. And adding those things in your game, you know, a first-person shooter that's about shooting things in first person sort of undermines the core gameplay of it. What, you don't have enough gameplay in the term first-person shooter, so you have to extend to QuickTime events? That's bullshit! You just have no idea how to make a good game. Look at Doom, one of the primordial first-person shooter games. Did it have QuickTime events? No, and it was amazing. Look at any modern military shooter that uses QuickTime events launched in the past few years. Do they have good single-player campaigns? No, they do not. At all. Oh my god, do they stink. Number 5. The 2-weapon limit. You may say to yourself, but having just 2 weapons is realistic. Yes, because someone wearing power armor capable of flipping a goddamn tank can only carry 2 weapons. And then you may say to yourself, well, it's more challenge. It gives you a higher tactical challenge. It makes things more tactical. No, it does not. What the 2-weapon system does is artificially limit your gameplay and gives you the impression that the weapons are more varied than they actually are. This is especially true for, more modern-ish, slightly towards future-ish first-person shooters, like Crysis 2, from which I can only remember 1 weapon, a really snazzy sniper rifle, which I never got to shoot because the game kept taking it away from me. So I could have the machine guns instead, the SMGs, the assault rifles that were all the exact same thing. Now, the 2-weapon limit could work if the guns were actually good, if the guns were actually interesting, if the guns were so goddamn kick-ass that just one of them could have been its own game. If every FPS had the same weapon variety as Gunman Chronicles, this wouldn't be an issue, but they don't. Number 4. Regenerating Health. This is one of the dumbest ideas ever to be added to the first-person shooter. And do you want to know why? Because it takes out, well, all of the fun of it. It takes out all of the challenge out of it. It takes out all of the tactics out of it. And it makes games incredibly easy to design. In a normal FPS, you would have to consider exactly how to set up combat encounters in such a way that you would give the player a challenge and yet not murder him or her and leave them enough health or enough health packs around to be able to negotiate the next challenge. And tuning the exact amount of health packs you leave for them will increase the challenge. But that goes all out the window with Regenerating Health because you can assume that at every combat encounter, the player will be at full health. And after it, again, the player will be at full health. There is no more drive to get the player to actually search through the level for things that can heal him, that can help him, because just staying put, hiding behind a wall, will take care of this. Which brings us to number 3, the enemies. They can really aggravate the Regenerating Health part, because unless they actually go out looking for you where you're hiding to heal up, instead of, them doing their job to kill you actively, they're not gonna have any chances, ever. Unless they maybe do one-hit kills, in which case, they're gonna be really cheap bastards, and health is already not an issue. The enemies tend to have problems in a lot of video games, even ones that sort of say that they're gonna be interesting and set in a very unique setting with the future and things, and they have bipedal alien enemies that are just taken out of Halo, instead of something like they had in Crysis 1 that were those Matrix squid things that flew about. The enemies can really drive drive an FPS into the ground if their AI is just plain stupid, if they cannot even defend themselves, if they cannot even attempt to counter the player's actions, and they can also drive an FPS into the ground if they're the goddamn same enemies we've seen in every goddamn game, with no creativity, you know, the rusher, the tank, the grenadier, the sniper. How about you go beyond that standard and have more interesting things in your games to fight? Things that aren't goddamn bullet sponges to the point where you just get fed up and stop playing. Number 2, the linear levels. Level design in single-player FPS games has been going downhill for years. We've gone from the amazing sprawling maps of Doom, of Quake, to nothing. You may be able to blame Half-Life for this, but still, Half-Life's levels were at least kind of creative. Now we're just at a point where you have a straight line, and you don't have the ability to actually go anywhere you want. You just have a line, a corridor, that's peppered with cinematics. That's it. You start to wonder exactly what they pay level designers for. They could just make a random level generator a bad one that just makes corridors, and there you have it. Oh my god, I think I just found out their secret. Number 1, no agency. This means that the entire game you're playing is a follow the follow indicator game. This means that the game you're playing won't let you open a door, that you'll have to wait for an NPC to do it for you. It means that you can't shoot an enemy until the game lets you. It means you can't progress to a point because the game won't let you and will outright kill you if you do. Not having agency means that you're not actually playing the game. You're just going through the predefined motions that the developers intended for you to take, and if you at any point diverge from their very strict idea, you're punished. Even though what you wanted to do made absolute sense. No, you're punished. It's like those very horrible puzzles they used to have in adventure games. Only now, it's in FPS format, and you can't do anything about it. You can't actually play the game the way you would want it to enjoy it. You just have to accept that you're a pawn. You paid $60 to jam a toothpick in the W key and occasionally move the mouse, because the game just happens around you. Turns out, you really don't do much. You're just there to trigger cinematics. And this is something you'll notice very early on because a lot of games do this since the intro, like Battlefield 3 did. Well, that's it for the top 7 ways you can recognize a bad single-player FPS game. Tune in next time where I ruin more of the things you like.
Thank you for watching this show. If you enjoyed it, please consider watching some of our other videos and maybe sharing them or giving a thumbs up if you feel like it. And if you really liked what you saw, please check out our Patreon page. For just $1 a month, you could help us make much better shows and get some rewards in the process. Or you could consider buying my book called Tale of Doom. Volume 1 is out now and available for just $2. And as always, if you thought it was horrible, you know where to find me and complain about it.